Okay, so what did you see in that video? I made myself a short little list, but obviously out-of-body experience. And people talk about her out-of-body experience as being incredibly special because of all the things that were going on and what she saw that she shouldn't have been able to see. But also there was a pulling sensation, almost like a tunnel again, like spirit being pulled from the body. Friends and relatives, her uncle, a sense of peace. And she talked about this love, and she said, is this God, this permeating love through the atmosphere? And she says, is this God? And I love that. They said, no, it's not God. It's how God breathes, or the breath of God. That shows up again in another near-death experience that I've heard about that we might be watching down the road. But again, I think the magic there is that what God puts forth into that realm, that love, is part of him. It is in a sense like his breath, that beautiful just sphere of God. Now finally, Swedenborg talks about in this section, he says, it's not so hard to live the life that leads to heaven. It's not so hard. I think we all think, well, I'll never get in. In fact, I was talking to a professor the other day. He's studying some religious work, and he says, Grant, the thing about this is I feel like now reading this, I feel like I'm going to go to hell. And I'm like, please, come on. It's like, a professional problem with ministers. They read too much about, what it means to be a good person. It's like, I'll never make it. Or the doctors reading about all these diseases. Maybe I have that disease. It's the kind of thing where you just have to go, no, God's love, I said, is so great. It's so great. That's what I concentrate on when I'm not feeling like I'm working too hard, because it always puts me back on the right track. So anyway, he says it's not so hard to live the life that leads to heaven. God is there pulling us forward. He mentions that some people think that if you beat yourself up or you go live in a cave and that's the way to heaven. And I think that's an old, more historical kind of way of thinking about it. But Swedenborg says a life apart from the world, a life apart from people isn't the ideal life. Think about it. How hard do you have to grow if you never have to interact with anybody? It's that interaction with other people that we learn to be unselfish and learn to be unselfish, learn to connect with people, to communicate. So life of heaven is a very active life in society. And he says, finally, just simply see when recognize when you're doing something wrong or something that's selfish, turn away from that, ask God for help, begin a new life. It's that simple. And we slowly evolve into what it means to be heavenly, just to turn to God. One way to put it is he just says, follow the commandments, follow what God, the Lord says to us, love one another, don't have other gods in our lives, but worship the true God, love. Well, I do have homework for you, and this homework, the first part of it is from Swedenborg's work, Heaven and Hell. And the reason I'm using that book is there's this little section in there I really want you to read that doesn't show up in the afterlife. So we'll either have it right there on the screen for you or have a link to it. And that is Heaven and Hell, paragraph numbers 29 through 40. And then we're also going to read the afterlife, pages 55 through 80. And both of these have to do with our next title, which is The Layout of Heaven. Becoming who you really are in this new state of existence. I almost said something straight. This new Welcome to the Institute. Now, I'd like to share with you just a couple more similarities between Swedenborg and what he says. Swedenborg. Welcome to the Institute for Swedenborg Study. My sound just fell down onto the floor. And I'm done.
All right, and maybe we'll cut it at that.
Let's cut it. Do you want to just cut it?
Yeah.
All right.